it, but there was an article from ProPublica that basically highlights, Buffett he's been very open about the fact that he has a personal account that's run separately from his, any Berkshire trading activities. Um, and he's always kind of said that there'd be a conflict of interest if we were trading the same stocks. And so this ProPublica article says on at least 3 occasions, Buffett has traded in stocks in his personal account in the same quarter or the quarter before Berkshire bought or sold shares of the same company. Um, it's kind of interesting because he was oftentimes going against what he was saying in public. So, and he sometimes even going against what Berkshire itself was doing. So, in, I believe it was 2009, he did an interview with Fortune, kind of praising Wells Fargo, and this had a huge impact on Wells Fargo. It seemed, at least, like the shares jumped 13%. People assume that a lot of that had to do with Buffett's praise for the company. But he privately, that same day that he did the interview, sold $20 million worth of Wells Fargo shares. Now, I'll save any of my own personal takes for the end here. The second occasion was, it says over several days he sold $35 million worth of Johnson & Johnson shares. At that point, Berkshire had effectively revealed that it too had sold Johnson & Johnson shares. That's the one that kind of concerns me a bit. And then the last one here, it says in August 2009, Buffett appeared to move in his personal portfolio in the opposite direction of Berkshire's portfolio. He sold $25 million worth of Walmart stock in his personal account, even as Berkshire almost doubled its stake. Now, with the Wells Fargo and the Walmart one, I kind of think he doesn't want to seem like he has a conflict of interest, so he's getting rid of them in his personal account. Now, I bet he might touch on this at the meeting this year and say, like, just give full disclosure on everything that happened. But the only one that kind of concerns me is selling out kind of the same quarter that he sold out of Johnson & Johnson. What did you guys make of this? Does it feel newsworthy? Is it any tarnish on his reputation for you?
I think it was the article also implies that he may have violated Berkshire Hathaway's own internal rules around ethics and trading. If it turns out that's the case, that he violated the own rules that he wrote, I think it shouldn't have been done. I think it was a lapse of judgment in the very least. And the amounts are so inconsequential relative to his net worth of $100 billion. At the time of these trades, maybe his net worth was less than that, but 50, 60, 70, 80 billion dollars. It seems inconsequential. Like, why even do it for $20 million here, $20 million there, when you're worth that much money? It could be just a lapse of judgment. It could be, just like a brain fart on some level. It could be more than that. He hasn't spoken out about it. He hasn't denied it. You can't really deny it. I guess we got to wait until the meeting and to hear something, like you said.
Yeah, and I would last year it was either last year or the year before, there were accusations about him potentially insider trading with Activision Blizzard because of his close relationships with Bill Gates and Microsoft.
He shut that down though, right?
Yeah, and he
that one didn't make any sense.
Yeah, he pieced through every part of it and said, here's exactly what happened. Here's how I traded. Here's exactly when we bought, why we bought, that kind of thing. I would hopefully like to think that he'll do the same thing at this meeting and just describe kind of what his actual thought process was behind the actions, because obviously the way ProPublica made it sound feels a little more malicious, but it doesn't. I'll let Brett talk here in a second, but it doesn't make a whole lot of sense just in the fact that, like you said, it's so inconsequential to his own wealth, and what he does in Berkshire's portfolio ultimately matters so much more on his net worth
and to his legacy.
Yeah. I'd say one, he might talk about it in the shareholder letter, possibly, which is before the annual meeting. Some of these don't look great. can't remember which one he had here, Ryan, but there's one that could maybe be explained like he bought in his personal account and then later they bought. Like that's not the end of I don't think that's the end of the world, but the one where you sell before Berkshire sells, I think, or I don't know. Some of these do look like if it is how ProPublica outlined it, it's exactly what happened. I don't know if there's a good explanation there because I would note that they fired one of their longtime lieutenants. What is his name?
David Sokol.
Solik.
Yeah,
Sokol,
whoever
yeah.
it was like in 2011 for buying Lubrizol before they announced an acquisition of some sort related to that was gonna, boost the stock price. That's clear cut. Not that's violating probably every company. You have a rule against that. That's maybe I'd say definitely worse than this, but this is close to that if there's really no explanation here. And could it be coincidental? Yes, but I don't like that someone as like Buffett has a personal account like this. Yeah, like you're allowed to have it, but if you're someone with his stature, his legacy, his whatever, I'd rather have everything just be in Berkshire, especially because they have the investments there as well. I also didn't like, while the track record was incredible when they had that story of one of the lieutenants today, Combs or Weschler, I forget who, has the $200 million plus Roth IRA where they just crushed it over the last 30 years. Yeah, that's great. But hey, look, why don't we put those, how much time are you focusing on your Roth IRA? How much time are you focusing at Berkshire Hathaway? That's kind of how I think of it. Will it tarnish his legacy? I don't know. I guess we'd have to see. But clearly, if someone in the company did this, I think it's possible they would get fired.